So, I don't know about you, but being a university student can be pretty stressful. Assignments, projects, and a global pandemic would make anybody stressed. As many of you are aware, when the body is face to face with a stressor, it activates functions in the body to prepare for the physical action of either fighting or fleeing a situation. Of course, the fight or flight response was appropriate when our ancestors were face to face with a saber-toothed tiger. However, today the tiger has become the everyday stressors of work, school, and relationships. You see, the problem is that the brain treats all stress as if you were face to face with a tiger. Being somebody who is a little bit more stressed than most, I was determined to find a better way to manage stress and the way I react to situations. I've attended lectures on stress and more yoga classes than I could count. And if there's one thing that I learned is that stress management is a daily practice. It is critical for humans within our busy schedules to find time for self-care and ways of de-stressing. Many of us believe that kids don't have stress, that they live a stress-free life, and that their only worries is that if they'll be assigned math homework that night. However, kids experience stress too. Therefore, I think as educators, we should be teaching our students how to manage stress so that they can better manage and recognize their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Let me ask you, have you ever been working with a child and all of a sudden they're screaming, crying, and in a complete rage? Well, I have. And more times than not, what has happened is that there's a bunch of little things that have piled up that have led to this reaction. And say, for example, that they got in a fight with a friend that day and there's troubles at home and then they got assigned a lot of homework. Kids have difficulty realizing what they're feeling is stress. Therefore, they cover up this feeling with emotions such as anger and sadness. Here you will see an image of an emotion wheel. American psychologist Dr. Robert Plutchik proposed that there are 8 primary emotions that serve as the foundation for all others. So we have joy, sadness, acceptance, disgust, fear, anger, surprise, and anticipation. The emotion wheel shows how basic emotions such as anger and sadness may also come off as jealousy and frustration. The emotion wheel allows people to come to terms with how they are feeling and ultimately become more self-aware and self-compassionate. It can be hard enough for adults to name why they are feeling anger or sadness. So could you imagine how difficult this could be for a child? Especially since there's over 32,000 emotions that may be causing a certain reaction. For my Genius Hour project, I decided to create the Little Book of Self-Care. It's a passion project of mine that I've wanted to do for years, and I'm so grateful that I finally got the opportunity to get it started. Although I haven't cracked the code to living a stress-free life just yet, I have developed some resources for youth to teach them how to better manage and recognize their stress. In my experience, I have worked with youth who do struggle with mental health, and I've always found it challenging to find free, interactive, and up-to-date resources. Therefore, I decided to create one myself. I wanted to connect activities which I know that youth love, such as coloring and joyful movement, with stress management. Therefore, I included topics such as yoga, journaling, and coloring worksheets, while educating youth on things like breathing exercises and healthy and unhealthy ways of managing stress. I thought back to myself and asked what would have been valuable for me as a young girl growing up. Therefore, the core topics of my workbook are creativity, stress management and mindfulness, self-compassion, and body image. I hoped that by focusing on these core concepts that I could create a strong foundation for youth to learn how to better manage stress. I believe that now, more than ever during these difficult and uncertain times, that we should be focusing on self-care and self-compassion. As educators, I feel as though it's our job to teach students how to manage stress, because when students are stressed, it gets in the way of processing new information and recalling prior knowledge. Therefore, if we want to provide the best learning experience possible for our students, we need to teach them how to manage stress. I hope that this talk has inspired you to teach your students about stress management and that you take some time for self-care because it's more important than you know. Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. Take care.